That's exciting. So good to have you. Let me introduce myself for those who don't know. You may be stopping by for the very first time. My name is Karen Marinez. I'm an emotional wellness coach. I help you identify, manage, and untangle your emotions. It's like, let me find a way to just, in a few words, say what I do. Because a lot of people ask that question, what is an emotional wellness coach? I encourage you to subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I'm not crying. I just washed my glasses and there was a little water left. And if I would love to see you in the chat if you'd like to, but in order to get in the chat, you have to subscribe. Press the subscribe button, and if you could like the video as well, that tells the YouTube algorithm to send this out to other people who want to become well emotionally. Okay. Uh, let's get into the chat and see who's here. But today we're going to be talking about the wound of rejection. Um, deep. We talked the last 2 weeks about the childhood wound of abandonment. For the next 2 weeks, we're going to talk about rejection. Those are the two most difficult childhood wounds to overcome, to heal from. And it's interesting that those were the two that were the first two chosen in the poll that we did, that people chose. So it just shows how important it is. We got my dear husband Elvin. We have Itza. Hey Itza. We have Maite. Hello, PJ from South Carolina. We have Yolanda in Palm Bay. Cindy from Texas. Sheila G in Palm Bay. Thank you, PJ. Don't forget to hit the like button. This today I remembered, but we still get to remind people because I usually forget. Sally, hey Sally, hola, hola. Deborah Owens from Springfield. And of course, we have Roxy Ebony from Palm Bay as well. So good to have you all. And Renee from Arizona. Hey, Renee. So good to have everybody. So, what is the wound of rejection? Right? What are we talking about? I have the chat over here. So when I look over, it's for that reason. Okay. The wound of rejection. I hope you have paper and pen. This is another really good one. The information excites me so much. It's so deep that I get butterflies in my stomach as I'm preparing it. And as I knew I was coming on, I'm like, because it's so good and I want to give it to y'all good, you know? So the wound of rejection, it refers to a deep and painful emotional experience that originates in childhood, right? These are childhood wounds. It develops when a person perceives or experiences that they're not accepted or valued by their parents, caregivers, or other significant individuals. Very interesting point. The rejection wound comes mostly from the parent of the same sex. So if you're female, it would come from your mom. If you're male, it would come from your father. Okay. How does rejection show up? Because the purpose of this first live, just like with the abandonment one, is you may say, I don't have, I didn't experience rejection in my childhood. I'm good. I had a lot of new clients after the abandonment wound series, and several of them said, I had no idea that I was dealing with that. So that's why I like to give a lot of information. So, because it's all about learning about ourselves, our self-knowledge. So take a step back, listen to the information, have an open mind. All of us have at least two or three of the childhood wounds. Okay. So rejection comes from the parent of the same sex. And how does it look? Rejection makes people flee. They run away from situations. If the person tries to go unnoticed, right? If they're in a room, you kind of have to look for them. They feel undervalued. It's like they cancel themselves out. Very interesting. But so that we can get this chat moving, can we review the homework from the last 2 weeks? Especially last week, we talked about abandonment and I left homework. Can you tell me how did you think about the question? The homework was, how do you abandon yourself? Can you put it in the chat if there was something that you became aware of, like, oh yeah, I do abandon myself with this or with that? And so abandonment is from, so rejection is from the parent of the same sex. Abandonment is from the parent of the opposite sex. So if you're female, it will be your dad primarily. Your male, it will be your mom. But both parents, of course, can be involved. And that person who suffered from abandonment, they tend to become the victim. They need the attention and constant presence of others. Remember, we talked about codependent relationships. That's how that shows up. So Cindy says, put the needs of others before my own. Yeah, that's totally abandonment. Very nice. Very nice. With others, does anyone else have anything to say? Sheila, the only way to stop the commercial, Sheila G says, how do I stop the commercials from interrupting you? Is to sign up for YouTube where you get commercial free. Yeah, that's the only way, because it is we the ads will come otherwise. Mike there says, I tend to place myself last. Yeah, that's totally abandonment. Anybody else find something? I'll tell you mine. How was I abandoning myself? I wasn't doing my hair. I mean, I was doing my hair, but I wasn't wearing my hair. Today I went and got my hair done, and I feel so good. Marlene, hey Marlene from PA. It's so good to have you. Um, yeah. I'm like, Karen, go get your hair done and keep it up. And the thing is, well, I don't feel like doing it every day. So that style that I wore for like the last 2 months was very easy. 2 minutes in the morning, little gel, slick it down, brush it, and go. It's nice, for a change. But the younger Karen took a lot of time with her hair. So what happened now? A lot of different things. And it was a lot for me to meditate on my mother's example, how she handled her hair as she got older. It's like, oh, I don't have time. I'm just going to do this and that. Very interesting. I'm like, Karen, go get your hair done. And I feel great. So yeah, putting ourselves, but I was doing everything else, right? Really important. Oh, thank you, Roxy Ebony. Thank you, Gio. I appreciate it. Yeah, we could also, okay. Renee says unhealthy foods and diet. Yep. Also, it could be procrastination. We have no structure for ourselves to get things done. But a lot of it is putting other people's needs ahead of our own. Even it could be even food and diet or exercise. I don't have time to cook for myself. I don't have time to shop for healthy foods. I don't have time to exercise because I'm so busy overextending all over here. And we consequently abandon ourselves. Very interesting. Good job. If you haven't thought about it or you couldn't come up with it, keep meditating on it, because we have to figure out what we need to work on so we can work on it, right? And we can get better. Okay. Characteristics of the wound of rejection. Let's see what else, how it looks. Let's break it down and see if you see yourself in it, because this is all about self-awareness as well. Number one, feeling of not being loved. Rosa Tavares, hello, thank you. And she said all of the above. Okay, yeah, we're all in the same boat. We all have something, and but it's being aware and working on it. So good to have you, Rosa. So, feeling of not being loved. People with the wound of rejection feel they're not loved or desired, and that leads to a deep feeling of loneliness and worthlessness. They don't feel they're worthy of having positive experiences. Like, of course, that happened to me. Of course, my husband left me. Of course, my friend, right? Because I'm not a person that should be loved. Okay. And it could come from it, for an example, a child whose mother is emotionally distant. She would feel, if I'm not important to my mom, then I'm not loved. I'm not lovable, right? And Rosa agrees. She's 34 and does not feel worthy of anything or happiness. Yeah. So we're going to continue to see where those feelings come from. Marion Bailey said, putting others first, second, me last. Yeah, we really have to work on that. And we can get it twisted because it's like, but there's more happiness in giving than there is in receiving. I was taught that as a child. Right. However, that's once you filled yourself up. Get your glass full, and then whatever's overflowing, you can give to others freely and happily. And you'll know it because it causes no resentment. You're not exhausted. You're not overextended. You're not bitter and angry. Because those are the consequences of us overextending, doing for others, and doing absolutely nothing for ourselves, or the bare minimum. It's not fair to us. Let's take we have to be intentional about doing better for ourselves. Okay. Number two is the fear of rejection. So obviously you've been rejected, right, by a parent. So there's a constant fear of being rejected by others. And it leads to, remember, people with the wound of rejection, they flee from things. So you avoid situations where rejection may occur. For example, a person might avoid asking for a promotion at work because it's like, they're not going to give it to me. I'm not good enough. They're not going to think I'm good enough. So why even ask? Why bother? Okay. Olanda, hey. We have Yolanda and Olanda. I'm looking in the chat. Loose, especially as a mother. Yes. Uh, Fat people, hey there. She says, say that again. Okay. Number three, self criticism. A tendency to be extremely critical of oneself, feeling that you're never enough and that you could never do things well. So, an example of that is somebody who constantly criticizes themselves. There's that inner dialogue, that internal dialogue. I don't want to do like this. It's the internal dialogue. They criticize themselves for every small mistake, thinking they don't deserve happiness or success. Why? Because of their imperfections. But don't we all have imperfections? But the parents rejected me, so I reject myself. I'm overly critical of myself. Oh, PJ, that's a good one. PJ doesn't include her needs in the budget, but everyone else is cared for in the budget. Yeah, and PJ, you should be top line of the budget. Yeah, we have to do better, but we have to think about it. It has to be presented to us so we can learn, and then when we know better, we do better, right? Like Maya Angelou said. Okay, number four, difficulty in relationships. Problems establishing close, healthy relationships due to fear of being rejected and the expectations that others will leave them. Why get started? Why date? Why have a committed romantic relationship? They're going to eventually leave me anyway. They're going to reject and abandon me. So why even start? Why even try? Or friendships. Number five, complacency. Behavior of pleasing others to avoid being rejected, even at the expense of one's own needs and desires. So someone who always says yes, yes, yes to the requests of others, even if this causes them stress and exhaustion because they're fearful that if I don't do this for that person, they're going to reject. So we're not really this is a whole other topic, but it's just a little sidebar to think about. We're really not doing the thing for the other person, for them, for the good of them. We're doing it out of our own need to not be rejected. Interesting. It's a lot to think about. So is it even a pure gift to the other person? It's not. Number six, avoidance of social situations. So obviously, if I feel like I'm going to be rejected, I would prefer to not go to the party because no one's going to ask me out to dance. No one's going to talk to me. They're not going to like how I wear. I'm weird. I'm awkward. I'd rather not go. So what does the person do? They reject invitations to parties or social events because they feel uncomfortable and they fear being judged or not accepted. And they may say, I'm an introvert. You well likely could be, but is the real reason because you don't want to be in those social situations because you want to avoid, again, avoidance, fleeing. That's what people with the abandonment is. They flee. I'll just avoid the whole thing. And they say no to the invitation. I just have to acknowledge some people in the chat. Kimberly Vargas. Tarde pero seguro. Yes, you arrived. Good for you. It's good to have you here. And Sally says at number 5, especially fear that if I say no this one time, I'll get overlooked or never asked again. Look at that. Yeah, number 5 was complacency. Yeah, very, very interesting. And I'm glad you girl, everybody's responding, like you're seeing yourself in the mirror, right? And that's the purpose of this information. Okay, number 7 is perfectionism. Attempting to be perfect, but for what reason? To avoid criticism and rejection. So the belief is that perfection is the only way I'm going to be accepted. So these people at the job, oh, they are, they go above and beyond. It's just, and they take pride in that. And again, what's the motive behind it? Is it because you want to take pride in your work? There's nothing wrong with that. Or is it because I have to be perfect so that the people on my coworkers, my supervisor, my boss won't reject me, so that I'll be accepted? Yolanda, number 4 was difficulty in relationships. Problems establishing close, healthy relationships due to fear of being rejected and expecting that others will leave them. So even romantic relationships, no, 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 I'm not going there because he or she is going to leave me anyway. Okay. Sally, like number 7. Like Michael Jackson said, I'm looking at the man in the mirror, right? It's so interesting. So here's an example. I talk about the person at work. It could be a student that puts pressure on himself to always get perfect grades. Why? Because any mistake will make him less valuable in the eyes of others, to his teacher, to his classmates, to his parents. But that pressure on himself, sometimes it leads to migraines, sick in bed for a week with the flu, right? Depression, anxiety. And it's because it's for the wrong reason. We have Oris Sutherland. Hello, welcome. That's a new name. Good to have you. Yeah. Okay, number 8, need for constant approval. Constant searching for validation and approval from others to feel safe and valued. So an employee may constantly seek praise and approval from his boss and his colleagues. If they don't give positive feedback regularly, they feel insecure. I wonder how much longer they're going to keep me before they get rid of me. And meanwhile, the boss is happy. Oh, Oris, it's a sister. Hi, Oris. Okay. So it's probably Oris, right? Very nice. Thank you. Good to have you. Yeah. No one can give us constant positive feedback, constant praise and approval. Everybody's busy with their own lives, right? We'll talk about that later, but we should be able to give it to ourselves. Just like last week, we talked about parents with their children. Instead of saying, I'm proud of you, we say to them, you should be very proud of yourself, teaching them that they can validate themselves. They don't need the outside world to validate them. Well, we as adults, we want to do the same thing, validate ourselves. Okay. Number 9 is feelings of anxiety and depression. Why? Because of that constant worry about being rejected, and that causes anxiety, which can also lead to depression, because it's a constant high level of alert. The alarms are going off. Wherever we go, worry of being rejected here, 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 and we can't handle it, right? Someone may experience, oh my goodness, Jenny Espinal, hello, girlfriend. Good to have you. Welcome. So good to have you here. And Luce, did I say hi to Luce? If I didn't, hi, Luce. Okay, here's an example. Someone who experiences high level of anxieties before a public presentation. A lot of us here have public presentations several times a year. But why do we have, and listen, not nervousness, but note, high levels of anxiety. Why? Because the fear is that the audience will disapprove of us and reject our work. Right? Remember, the person that suffers from rejection, they cancel themselves out. They'd rather be unnoticed. So here, giving a public presentation, it's not the usual nervousness. It is high levels of anxiety. And that leads also to, because of the need to be perfect, that perfectionism, because if I make one small mistake, everybody's going to judge me and reject me. And that's not true, but that's what our minds tell us. Okay. The last one is emotional isolation. Okay, the chat is just blowing up. I have Dr. Just so hello. Yes, the alarms. Gabby says that makes me feel like I'm gonna faint. Yeah. It says, why does it feel like you're describing me? Oh Lord, this one is even I don't mean to laugh, but it cracks me up. This one is even deeper than abandonment. These two are the toughest to heal from. Yeah. Marion Bailey says, me, not like the center of not like to be the center of attention. Nice connection. Very nice. Very nice. Have you ever seen that person? They can do everything for everybody else. They throw parties for everybody else. They give, and everything. And someone tries to do something for them. No, no, no. They outright don't want it. It could be because being the center of attention would put them right in the focus of everybody, and they're thinking everybody's going to pick out my imperfections and they're going to see me for who I really am. Where 98% the probability is that people would come to the party or give you the gift because of quite the contrary. The reason is because they love you and value you for who you are. They see your good qualities. They're not focused on your imperfections. So we have to learn to love ourselves more and appreciate who we are. We're high value men and women. We really are. We're precious. And Renee says some won't take the assignment. Yeah, some people just say, no, I can't. Yeah, because it's total avoidance, fleeing, right? Number 10, emotional isolation. This is the last one. And it's very damaging because we maintain an emotional distance from other people, to protect ourselves from the pain of rejection. So we may have a lot of people around us all the time that, for the public, we call them our friends, but the relationships are very superficial. Why are they superficial? Because we don't share our true feelings and our thoughts. Why? For fear of being rejected, fear of not being accepted. If I say that and I give them my real opinion, they may not want to be friends with me anymore. No one knows who they really are. They can't be their authentic, true selves. And sadly, because of creating this mask and putting up that wall to keep people at bay, I'm protecting myself, so I have to keep you over there. I don't even know who I am. I've lost touch with who I am because I always put on this, right? My perfect self. Who am I? I don't even know anymore. Isn't that something? And so we emotionally isolate and we don't have the deep connections that we so desperately want and need. As humans, we require the company of others. It's the way we were made. So it leads to loneliness. So we got all 10. So we work on these areas with the help of a mental health professional, a coach. We can overcome the wound of rejection and lead a fuller, more satisfying life. It is possible. There is help. There's a way out. Because some people are like, this is me, this is it. There's a way out. We can heal. The way out is healing. And that's what all of this is for. So what are the origins of the wound of rejection? Obviously, it goes back to childhood, in early lifehood experiences. early life experiences, excuse me. And we have a few. I'll share a few. Parental rejection, number one. So when a parent shows disapproval or a caregiver, disapproval, indifference, or emotional abandonment towards the child feels unwanted and unloved. A parent who constantly criticizes his child, the dad constantly criticizes his daughter for not meeting his expectations. You got a 99. What happened to the other point? Why you didn't get 100? Why you dressed like that? Why you look like that? Fix your face, right? Causing the child to feel she's never good enough and she can't earn her father's love. I interviewed someone, I always interview, and the person said, my dad never took my feelings into account. Mm, yeah. Comparisons, being compared unfavorably to other siblings or children. Of course, that causes feelings of inadequacy and rejection. So maybe the child always hears her mother say that the older brother is smarter than her, more successful. Well, she'll grow up feeling she can never measure up and she's not valued for who she is. The other day I was visiting someone. She has a daughter who maybe she's like 8 or 9, and the baby is about 3, a son. Oh, and she was hugged up on the son, and she's rocking him, and he's so in love with her. He has her face like this, which is so sweet and endearing. And she's kissing him, and he's kissing her, and they're just, oh. And she's looking at her older daughter and she's saying, yeah, because he loves me. He's always, I'm thinking in Spanish, cariñoso conmigo. He's always loving with me and not like her. And I was like, oh, rejection, rejection. She not probably, she already feels a rejection, which is why she wouldn't even go up to mom and try to do all that hugging and kissing because she'd probably be pushed away. That comparison, terrible. And this goes, we're going backwards. We're talking about us in our childhood. But if you're a parent listening, this is twofold. It's so that you also will say, ooh, I do that to my children. Let me stop. Right? So important. Let's do better going forward. Number 3 is bullying or harassment. That's, by peers. It creates a deep wound of rejection. A girl who's constantly teased by her classmates, maybe for her physical appearance, she can develop the belief that she's not acceptable as she is and take that feeling of rejection into adulthood. And bullying is big. So even that with parents, like, oh, it's just kids. Kids are mean. Don't pay them any attention. Pay attention to your child if they're talking about bullying because it can scar them emotionally. Number 4 is high expectations. Growing up in an environment where, oh, perfectionism is expected and you can't meet this, you're going to receive rejection. And the sad part is, usually the parents are not meeting this, but the child doesn't know, right? So, for instance, a teenager whose parents expect him to be a star athlete, a perfect student, he may feel rejected when he fails to meet their impossible standards, believing that his worth depends on his performance, which could lead us as adults to having very high expectations of our own selves. And if it's not up here, it's not acceptable. And we cause ourselves a lot of harm, a lot of exhaustion, a lot of physical pain, migraines, all kind of stuff because our parents had these high unrealistic expectations and we didn't like it, but we do it to ourselves and then we do it to our children as well. So we want to stop the cycle. Lack of affection, um, the absence of physical and emotional affection from parents, it makes children feel unwanted and rejected. And you could say, but I wasn't raised with hugs and kisses. That's why I don't do it to my children, but you probably experienced the wound of rejection and now you're doing it to your children. A child needs hugs, kisses, words of affirmation from their parents while growing up. When they don't receive it, they feel they're not good enough to be loved. Because if mommy and daddy don't love me, They don't show affection. Obviously, they know me better than anyone else. So lack of affection can lead to the wound of rejection. Samantha Almansad. Hi, Samantha. And it says bullying can happen even in your family. Wow. Very, very true. That's why it's so important for parents to be in tune, see what's going on, come to the aid of your child, which leads to abandonment. Number 6 is abandonment. A parent or caregiver physically or emotionally abandons the child. So, for instance, the father abandons the family and doesn't bother to stay in contact with the kids. They feel rejected. They believe if I were more valuable, my dad would come look for me. He wouldn't have left. It's my fault. And they feel the abandonment and the rejection. Okay. Number 7 is constant criticism. Being constantly criticized, and when your parents point out the defects of the child, definitely makes the child feel rejected and not accepted for who they are. Who doesn't have imperfections? So imagine a girl who's constantly criticized by her mother for her weight, her appearance. She grows up with a negative self-image and persistent feelings of rejection. Okay. Marion says, as a teen, get your skinny self out of here. Wow. So you were too skinny. Interesting. Yeah. And it affects us. It really, really does. We have a few more. And again, the constant criticism, we have to be mindful of ourselves. What does my internal dialogue sound like? Am I repeating the same things that my parents said to me when I was a child that I hated? But do I say those same things to me over and over throughout the day? At least if we can become aware of it, at least be aware of what we're saying to ourselves. Then the next step would be to work on, okay, I'm not going to say that, I'm going to say this instead. I'm going to say positive, sweet things to myself because that's what I deserve. And that's what my body requires. My mind requires that. Okay, number 8 is emotional neglect, lack of attention. And look at this word, emotional response to the child's needs. A child falls, skins their knee, and the mother's on her phone. Get up, you're okay. Lack of attention. There's no conversation. There's no connection. Everybody's in the house. And, if we're of a particular age, cell phones didn't exist at that time, but the TV was on, or mommy was busy working, or she was always busy around the house doing chores. She didn't have time for me. Well, she didn't make the time for me. There's always time. All I wanted was conversation, something. How was your day? Nothing. So a child may seek their mother's comfort after a bad day at school. They want a hug, they just want to lay on, right? But the child may be ignored or dismissed. And so what does that tell the child? Your emotional needs are not important. You're not important. And they develop the wound of rejection. Or maybe a mom doesn't want the responsibility of being a mom. And she can't shake that feeling, but here she is, she's a mom. The child feels though that they're not approved, they're not wanted. It's transmitted in your energy towards the child, even a baby. And that emotional neglect is deep. Yep, Dr. Just So responds, what do you want? Yeah. Harsh, rejection, hurts. Yeah. All right. Number 9, the separation or divorce of parents. Yeah. Orlando has a sad face because it hurts, and it hurts to hear, but we have to hear it so we can recognize it and then heal it. How about the separation or divorce of parents? This is huge. That it has probably nothing to do with the child, but the child feels that one of the parents has rejected them by leaving. A child lives with the mother, the dad leaves, they're divorced, and the father may not want to be bothered with the ex-wife, but then he never reaches out for the children, and they feel they feel it as a personal rejection. And our last one are traumatic events. Something traumatic happens and the child doesn't receive the necessary emotional support. Sometimes the parent may be in the room, may be in the child's life. Both parents could be there, but they're not emotionally supporting the child. They're not in tune. They're not connected to the child. And it's probably because they have the same wound of rejection. Isn't that interesting? And then it just keeps getting passed on and passed on. So, for instance, a child is hit by a car, serious car accident, and the parents make sure that they get to the hospital and they talk to the doctors and all that, but there's no emotional and physical support. And that leads to feelings of rejection and devaluation. Deep stuff, right? So all of these things contribute significantly to the formation of the rejection wound. They impact our self-esteem, how we move around in the world, in our relationships, and our long-term emotional well-being. But we can heal the wound. But what does it require? Conscious and deliberate work. We have to be intentional about it. But we first have to be aware, and that's the purpose of this Zoom, this live, to help you become aware. Maybe you saw a lot of things or one or two things and you're like, oh, I never thought about that, right? And then we can get the help. So how does this show up in adult life? Low self-esteem, persistent feelings of not being enough or valuable. And I'll give you a little thing, something else to think about and meditate on in the week. That's what leads us to overextend, because we're trying to buy ourselves, prove to others that we're valuable and needed and lovable. And that leads, of course, to other issues and problems, even physically. Toxic relationships. We could accept mistreatment or abusive behavior for fear of rejection. I'll put up with it because I don't want him to leave. I don't want him to reject me. Social isolation. Remember the fleeing, right? So we avoid intimate or close relationships to prevent the pain of rejection. Everything is superficial. We may have a lot of people follow our Instagram or our Facebook. We have friends here, friends there. We're surrounded by a lot of people, but we make sure we put the wall up so that they keep their distance. We protect ourselves. That's how we view it. We're protecting ourselves from rejection. Perfectionism, right? Trying to be perfect in order to avoid criticism and rejection. And perfection does not exist in the world that we live in. So as humans, we cannot reach perfection right now. So why expect it of ourselves? Why try? And what happens is then we end up rejecting ourselves because we can't reach it the way we want to reach it, that level, that height of perfection, because it doesn't exist. It's impossible. And we cause ourselves needless anxiety and stress and worry. And it affects us physically, mentally, emotionally. The anxiety, it makes it go higher because we're trying to attain something that's like pie in the sky. So release yourself from that. Accept yourself for who you are. Adjust your expectations of yourself and of others, and your life will be a whole lot calmer, much more peaceful, and a little joy can peek in at the same time. We want to be joyful and enjoy our lives. Um, Anxiety and depression, again, due to constant worry about being depressed and being rejected, we have feelings of anxiety and depression. Okay, so what are some things we could do to heal the wound of rejection? Um, Therapy can help us process and heal the wounds, developing a more positive self-image. It's just a sign me up for joy. Yes, we want to have joy in our lives. Self-acceptance, work on being loving to ourselves, recognizing and valuing our good qualities, build and maintain healthy relationships with people who give us genuine support and acceptance. Don't push them away. try to lean in because they're there for a reason. They obviously see good in you. And here's a really important one, self-compassion. We can be so, well, sometimes compassionate to others, but we want to practice self-compassion and reduce self-criticism so we can foster better self-esteem. Mindfulness and meditation. Mindfulness means being present, being aware, and working things out. Meditation is also being aware and like those side points that I mentioned, sitting down with ourselves and trying to figure it out. Why, what led me to this? Which parent did some of these things to me? Do I acknowledge that I suffer from the wound, that I have the wound of rejection? And what can I do to make it better? How can I start healing? We need to understand and then heal the wound of rejection, and it leads to a fuller life and healthier relationships. We have some comments. Monica Bell. Hi, Monica. She says, I shared a story with my sister and found out I was not healed. So thank he and you. Okay. So this is Gio's friend. Hi, Monica. Welcome. And yeah, that's what the purpose of this YouTube live. I also offer coaching one-on-one. If you want to be accompanied in the journey of healing the wounds, it makes it more attainable. Okay. So here's some tips for healing. You're like, all right, Karen, it's 8:43. We talked enough about all of the, right? Now I know I got it. What can I do? So again, self-acceptance, healthy relationships, self-compassion. We're going to review mindfulness and meditation and acknowledge your feelings. And as I always say, don't look at mommy and daddy from now at this age as an adult. Well, they did the best they can. I mean, look at daddy. He had a rough childhood. He didn't have a mom. I mean, he suffered. Okay, all of that's true. But you can't heal by making excuses. You're not diminishing their value. But we can't heal by making excuses for them. We need to come over here and view the situation from when we were a child, when we were 3, 4, 5, 6, 10. How did you feel at that from that perspective towards that parent? They're not bad people. We're not accusing them of being horrible people necessarily, but we want to look at it from that angle so that we can also practice self-compassion. Oh, this is why I'm the way I am, right? Because this, and this happened to me. So we can spend time with our loved ones, focus on what you have to offer rather than your shortcomings, affirm aspects of yourself that you know are valuable, spending time with loved ones, surrounding yourself with people who accept and love you, even though it's tempting to isolate yourself. Accept what happened. Don't deny the rejection. That makes it harder to overcome the pain and heal. Think about what you need. Think about what needs aren't being met and what you want and need to move forward, going forward. And here's a good one. Ask for feedback. If the rejection was embarrassing, like say it's on your job, go to that person, explore, ask them for feedback to explore what led to it. It could be a misinterpretation because you're used to rejection, you're expecting rejection. Someone may just give some feedback, and because it's not overwhelmingly positive, you assume they're just knocking you down, but that's not necessarily the case. So, in conclusion, you are enough. No one is judging you. You are important. You have a place in this world just like everyone else does. You are valuable. And I'm so glad that you're here. We're all in this together. And isn't it nice to see in the chat all this movement, all this activity, all the comments? Because what does it show? It's not just you. It's not just me. Sometimes we're in our thoughts and we feel it's only me that has to deal with this. That's not true. Look at all the participants. Um, Monica says, thank you. Hello, abandonment, rejection, and all you mentioned. I thought if I forgave, I was okay. You have to heal. You have to look at it, analyze it from the perspective of being a child in that direction, and then process it. Then, as part of the healing, you can forgive. But that only happens when you're towards the end of the healing. But forgiveness without healing, it just leads to anger, emptiness, frustration, resentment. If those feelings are still there and in your mind you say, yeah, but I forgave my dad, I'm just using that as an example, you haven't healed. You can't forgive without healing first. Okay, so that's very important. Um, and Renee says, then we reject the inner child's feelings as an adult. Yeah. And there's a lot of love going on between Monica Bell and Yolanda and Gia, which is sweet. It just says, I had no idea I had a tribe during this journey. It's nice to see that I don't have to go through this alone. Exactly. We're creating a community of emotional wellness and we support each other. There's no blame, no judgment here. We're all accepted. And we realize everybody has something. You cannot go through this world without it. You cannot grow up without it because we all have imperfect parents that make mistakes, even though they may be doing all they knew to do and the best that they could do with what they had. But we are affected by it, right? Rosa Tavares says, thank you for all your beautiful advice. Have a great night, everyone. You too. Joanna McLeod. Monica, nice and interesting speech. Hi, Joanna. Um, Yeah, lots of anxiety everywhere. Oh, Joanna is from Panama. We have Panama in the house. What? Hello, Joanna. Very nice. Welcome. Good to have you. Now we're going more international. We had Colombia last week with Jonique. Now we have Joanna from Panama. Good to have you. Welcome. So I'd like to leave some homework for next week. Can we do some homework? Are we ready, guys? I want you to write this down. Ask 3 close friends or family members that you trust to tell you 3 good qualities that you have. You can text them, you can call them, you can ask them in person. Because a lot of us need to be reminded that people really are looking at the good. Now, there are people looking at the negative because of their own issues, but we want to see what does the world see in us. So if you can ask 3 close friends or family members to name 3 good qualities you have, so that will be 9 qualities, and some may be repeated, right? Between the 3 people. Okay. I would like to invite everyone that's here that's not in the emotional wellness chat to join. Alejandro, ¿puedes poner el enlace para el chat? We have a WhatsApp chat, and we also it's we have all these personal conversations going on. I guess it's just gonna ask Sally what are her 3 good qualities. She's telling Sally to be nice. Okay. So we have something in the chat, the link for the lead magnet page for the UCO class. It's going to explain, if you press that, but if you go onto that link, www.vimesterapias.org/UCO, if it's going to be, we're going to put it in the notes as well. But if you go there, because the class is going to start in September, the UCO class, it stands for Organized Cranial Universe. It helps us to get organized in our home, in our personal space, because it can go 2 ways. Our mind is so scrambled, right, and wound up with thoughts and worries and anxiety and depression that it reflects in our environment. Our environment is very unkempt. It's not organized. There's clutter everywhere, right? Or it could be that the clutter and everything that we have, it depends on how you look at it, all that's around us, and our room is like, oh, I can't look at it, is because causes our mind to get all staticky. So it's like, which came first, the chicken or the egg, right? And I've worked with several people who say, Karen, you don't know how long I've been wanting to get this in order, and I try, but I prefer to just take a nap, or I just go out with my friends. Total avoidance, right? UCO is a class, it's a whole month, 30 days. Each day there's a little small challenge, and we do it together as a group, and we encourage each other. And that positive encouragement and me holding the class's hand, and then we have 4 live classes. It helps us to get the job done. We don't feel alone. It helps with the overwhelm. It also helps with the perfectionism. We learn to be more realistic. Okay? So we encourage you to join. There's a sale going on from now until Friday. If you sign up, you'll get a special discount. So we encourage you to join the page. We're going to put it also in the show notes for those that are watching this maybe tomorrow or sometime later. And we look forward to having you in the class. It's going to be fun. The page will explain everything, the dynamic of the class, how it works. And there's going to be a thing that says register here. Press that, fill out the information, and you'll get an email giving you the information to sign up for the course. All right. I see there's more going on in the chat. Monica has to go. You have a good night. Sally's cracking up about Itza's comment. Renee says, my goal is to be comfortable with what my friends tell me and accept the answers. Interesting. Isn't it interesting? I appreciate that comment because for some people, it's very difficult to get negative comments, which is why I didn't say ask 3 close friends for 3 good qualities and 3 qualities, that you want to work on. But for others, it's hard to hear the good. Compliments are very difficult for them to process. So it's good because, accept it, Renee, you're a good person. And this is to exercise in helping us build our self-esteem, helping us to see how the world sees us. And that's why it's important to ask 3 close friends and family members that you trust, because we don't want to put our heart and mind into the hands of the wrong person, right? Orlando said that'll be me. Sounds good. Thanks for all of the great tips. You're very welcome. It's been a pleasure. I'll see you guys next week. We'll continue with the rejection wound part 2 next Monday, same place, same time. All right. Bye now. Big hugs. Take care. Be good to yourselves. Be happy and joyful. And I look forward to hearing about the feedback next week, the homework. Okay. Bye now. If you're watching this video, it is because you're looking to make changes and create order in your environment, which is a reflection of how orderly your cranial universe is. Yes, your wonderful brain is asking for a change. When we created this workshop called UCO with 4 master classes for full activation, the first thing I did was to put it in practice in my life. Here in Vimes, everything that we teach is effectively tested, and in my case, the results were amazing. The truth is that when your brain is organized, everything around you becomes organized. As explained by Tao Rivallo, a psychologist who specialized in cognitive behavioral therapy, cleanliness and order greatly influence our mental health. Human beings tend to always search for a balance, both internally and externally, and that has to do with our environment. If we look around, everything requires order, even in nature. So we're programmed for that order. I've experienced enormous changes in my life by applying certain things. I thought I was a very organized person, but the truth was I didn't realize I was rigid. So the question arises, what is the difference between being orderly and being rigid? Well, our health helps us to answer that question. If to keep your environment clean and beautiful and your life in order with an agenda and a good schedule, you end up with body pain, pain in your back, a tense neck, I assure you that you are rigid. You're not enjoying the process of being organized. This is a sign that enters your brain, and the brain then sends that message to your beautiful body, and there go the aches and pains. On the contrary, if you enjoy doing what you're doing while you're doing your chores, you fulfill your daily goals, you start by writing them down without spending a whole lot of time on it and no stress, then it means you're doing it really well. You're relaxed and your body's like, this is good. It tells you when you finish your task to even applaud yourself and say, job well done. Now rest. That was my case. And then that was of the first participants as well, their experience of the Masterclass UCO, which is short for Organized Cranial Universe. From rigidity when organizing their environment and their life in general, they discovered that flexibility is the key, and they began to see with each workshop challenge that organizing can be relaxing and positive in every aspect. Now let's talk about the benefits you'll get by doing your UCO workshop. First, you'll learn simple techniques that are very effective when it comes to organizing yourself at home, work, or even with schoolwork. Your personal organization from this moment will be very different. The second is you will optimize your mental health while your environment is organized, achieving full balance. Remember, mental health is fundamental in every aspect of our lives. Third, you will enjoy the accompaniment of an instructor who's a coach. You'll have daily communication with her and with your classmates. This is something other online academies do not offer. You will have the skills to put into practice with your family and with everyone else who wants to. And we could also mention that the support material you receive is unlike any other. In the information of this Masterclass UCO, you have everything in detail regarding the benefits of doing this amazing Organized Cranial Universe workshop.